The concept of aging like fine wine beautifully captures the idea that as women grow older, their wisdom, experience, and contributions to society become increasingly valuable. However, that isn't always the case. Welcome to the Leading Woman Show Governance Series, brought to you by our sponsors, the National Endowment for Democracy and Luminate. My name is Abosede Jojogan, and today we will discuss aging like fine wine. A survey by the Pew Research Center found that 41% of adults aged 55 and older believed that growing older had actually made them wiser. This wisdom often translates into better decision making and problem solving skills. Now, joining us today as guests to explore the invaluable lessons from the wealth of experience and wisdom that they offer, how they have navigated to where they are today. Joining us today in the studio, we have Miss Uti Elu. She's the head of customer experience strategy at Sterling Bank, with experience in various disciplines, including digital marketing, strategy, content development, and training, both in public and private sector across 2 continents. Our next guest is Ms. Titilayo Oshodi, who serves as the special advisor on climate change and circular economy to the governor of Lagos State, where she works diligently to address these critical issues and contribute to sustainable development. Our final guest is award-winning actress, philanthropist, mother, and global speaker, Ms. Kate Hensher. Ms. Hensher is also a goodwill ambassador for the Nigerian Women Trust Fund and considers herself a fitness enthusiast. Now, I'm sure that with this lineup of guests, you cannot wait to get into the conversation. So we'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. We're diving into this conversation with our guests. Thank you all so much for being here. Today, we're talking about something that, it's tingling me. Let me just say it like that. Aging like fine wine. So, as a kid, no pressure, but I'm starting with you. Is age nothing but a number, or does it count for something?
It's both. Nothing but a number, so you don't dwell on it.
Yes.
Counts for experience, counts for wisdom, counts for knowing better how to do things you could have done better in the past. Definitely.
I love it.
Definitely. I love that I have the opportunity and the blessing to age, because many people have died before getting to this age.
That's right.
So for me, it's a time of gratitude. Every day that I wake up, every year that I see, I'm grateful for it.
Amazing.
I'm not ashamed of my age. I'll put it out there.
Yes.
Are you going to take it to the bank? It's mine and mine alone.
Brilliant, brilliant. So it is both, you believe that age is nothing but a number.
Yeah.
So don't hold on to it.
No, don't.
But it does count for things. And I like that idea that actually gives you an opportunity to almost live a life that you would have lived.
Yes.
So you can look back, but also look forward.
Yes,
Brilliant.
do it a bit better.
Absolutely.
Because now you have experience behind
Gift
you.
of,
Yes.
of age.
Yes.
Brilliant. Mrs. O, what would you say?
I think, I'm going to piggyback on what Kate has said. When I was younger, because I'm a small frame, I've always liked to project myself like I'm old. So I don't hesitate to let people know how old I am, because I think that on a first impression, you look at my small age, you look at my small frame, and you think this is a young person. So by the time I start talking to you, and then I infuse, that age, you're like, oh, okay. They adjust again.
Yes.
So I like the paradox of it. It just brings to bear that you can actually find people admire you, you know, even though they feel like you're a young person. And then when they find out that who you really are, you just see the admiration in the face, like, wow, you're this age and, you know, and you're like this, youthful, you know. So I think it's in the mind. It's really, really in the mind.
Brilliant. So far, I'm hearing that it's a good thing to age.
Yes.
Ruti, do you agree?
I think I do. There is, for me, a freedom that age gives you. You all of a sudden find yourself. I mean, I was never one, even when I was younger, to really care what people thought. But it's worse now. Like, I literally can tell you to your face, like, if you don't like it, you can look away. So that freedom, I think, is the first thing that I'm enjoying. It also causes you to appreciate and value things more. I think the more experiences you gather, the more you don't take things for granted. You can catch the value in things really quickly because you are very quick to dispel anything that's going to waste your time.
Right.
The wisdom that you've acquired allows you to sort of peel away the layers really quickly. Maybe like I'm an impatient person, so I feel like I'm getting better, but I think that those are the things that I really, really value. But for me, on a personal note, I think it also gives you a new perspective on health. When you are young and youthful, your health is the one thing you absolutely take for granted, especially if you've always had good health. You start to become more aware of the changes in your body. And if you are wise, you start to really, really manage yourself to keep yourself aging like fine wine so you can get better with age. Because I think as you get more experiences, wisdom, well, I shouldn't say that for everybody, but wisdom generally comes, you know.
Not for everybody.
But I was trying not to put it that way, you know, in other terms. But I mean, that's really what it is, right? You get wiser and then you have to be smarter about the right things.
I like that. So, Auntie Kate, what would you say about women's leadership abilities as they get older and they gain more experience? Would you say it changes in any way? And would you say it has more impact? And I'll tell you one anecdote.
Okay.
There was an economist research earlier this year that actually said they did a survey, and regardless what age a woman is, she was still not giving any credit.
She was not given any credit.
None.
Oh, it's not today.
So whether they're young, whether they're old, they're regarded and seen in the same way.
Yeah, all over the world, women are still in the, how do they call that, suffrage, you know, that suffragette age where you're trying to exert yourself.
Yes.
That's exert, it's exert. Insert yourself in places where you already are. You're there, but they don't see you because you're a woman.
Yes.
I guess it's because the men are afraid. Because given half a chance, if a woman takes charge, like Angela Merkel, look at her.
Yes.
And we've had women all through the ages, from freedom fighters, Queen Amina, Moremi, Funmilayo Ramson Kuti, let me come from, start in Nigeria. And it gets better, but then these are women who have decided that this is how I'm going to be. It's not for all women. Some women are older and, I won't use the word because we're on a show. But you come to expect, as the person is older, that they will have some kind of wisdom and experience behind their leadership skills. And yes, you do find that it rings true for the women who have decided to consciously and intentionally live a path of leadership, excellence, integrity, everything correct. Yeah, not everything. God is perfect. But they try in all ramifications to bring out that intelligent part of them, not looking at the outside.
Yes.
Because then people tend to judge you by how you look, your hair, your makeup.
True.
Like that pastor lady that said, natural hair, let me leave her on the side. But there's so much more that is the content of a woman that society doesn't see, doesn't want to see.
Doesn't acknowledge. Because to your point,
If they don't want to see it, they're not going to acknowledge it.
True. But the truth is sometimes they even see it, but they refuse to acknowledge.
Yeah, so you must have an appendage. You must be a wife. Or you must be, I don't know, something else.
No PhD
like
a
friend of mine says is MRS is Member of Responsible Society. So if you're not married or you're single, you're not responsible. Nobody's going to take note of you. Yeah, you've climbed the ladder, you're doing well, but
nothing else matters.
I mean, and it rings through even in the way laws are passed here in Nigeria. Everywhere
Yeah.
is to put down the woman. But I know women, we are strong, we thrive, we carry children for 9 months. That is no mean feat.
No, it's not.
So, yeah.
I mean, from your personal experience, have your leadership qualities, abilities, have they evolved as you've gotten older?
Well, I have transcended from the private sector into the public sector. And I dare say that that condescending attitude, just cuts across.
Yeah.
To say, of course, like Kate has said, you have to doubly be, assertive about your personality. God help you if you're an opinionated one, or you're
Aggressive.
very
Aggressive,
sure
bossy.
about yourself. So they give you terms,
Yeah,
that
labels.
are negative. They give you the labels that are negative, and that's essentially to just sort of trivialize, what you bring to the table,
Minimize you.
and minimize you. So, but I also want to say that, to a great extent, it's very comforting to know that sometimes in my field, I like to act like the underdog. I like
that
for you
you're
to
underestimated.
underestimate me. And, like somebody said, I think it was Tyler Perry that said, you set your table, I will set my table and I will invite people to come and eat. And so there's always been that as I continue to grow, from the private sector, I'd learned a few lessons, how to be able to manage my emotions, how to be able to negotiate, how to stand up, and be objective about your pursuit, and also how to be able to meet at the terms where they play. So if you want to be within the circle of where the boys are playing, then you have to be bold. You have to be courageous. You have to, take on a persona that makes them, it's almost like a two-faced thing. You want to play, so you understand the philosophy behind the new feminists, right? So in one way, you know the power that you have as a woman.
then-
You know how much presence you can command as a woman, but also you're very subtle about how you play it. So even before, your opponents get to understand what you're doing, you're already sliding in, and you're like an assassin. You're breaking things and you're making so.
To be
I like
To be honest, I'm sitting here and Mrs. O, I'm definitely not as old as you are, but I'm sitting here and thinking, oh my gosh, I have to do all that work. And this is the point, isn't it? But I think what you're sharing is from your wisdom, actually, just practicalizing it. That look, I've known and I've walked this path, and I know that this is, is a strategy to actually get in. And
It is a
I find
strategy.
that very interesting.
Sorry to interject, but you see, once you come to understand that you have to establish yourself in your stakeholder mapping, and I think even every guy does that, really. You have to be able to define the personalities and the backgrounds and the nuance and the culture, as somebody who wants to rise above in a career, because there's always politics anywhere.
Everywhere.
So I have a friend who says to me, I do not even see man or woman, as far as I'm concerned. If I see that you're a hurdle that I have to cross, yes, I'm going to look at you as the figment of the hurdle that I have to cross, because it can be a bit inundating as well when you start to put yourself in that space, in that cupboard, to say, is it because I'm a woman? And that can be self-indicting in
Yes.
itself. So and that's why I use the word negotiating. That's why I use the word. So sometimes you have to, at the negotiation table, you have to compromise some of your values.
Yeah.
You have to trade off, not compromise, but you have to
Trade
do a
off.
moral trade-off.
And I guess what you're saying is you have to also know when
Yes,
to do that.
to do
And that comes with
Striking a balance,
understanding
yes.
and
Exactly.
experience.
Exactly.
Uti, can we talk a little bit about some of the common misconceptions that we have around age and leadership in Nigeria generally, especially when it comes to women?
Wow. The very first one, once you have a voice and you have a presence, it's the aggression, it's the So you interpret it. It's very subjective. So I'm assertive. I walk into a room and I demand attention. And then people think, some people appreciate it. And this is across genders. It's not just men. It's men and women. Some people shrink from it. Now, when I was younger, I used to be a little more concerned with the people who were shrinking from it because you're trying to win the room, right? But I think as you get older, for me now, if you can't cope with my light, I
Come
shall
on
not
now.
deem it for your existence. So I come correct. I come
Always.
as a me. Uti has walked into the building.
Yes.
And I bring everything that I have to offer. So I think that's the first thing. That misconception is dangerous, I think, for a lot of younger women to not fall into that trap because it takes a while for that realization to come forward.
Yes.
And it's even harder when you maybe have a more quieter, more sort of timid personality.
Yes.
I was always boisterous. I am tall. I am big. So when I walk in, I've always been a head above everybody. So I was never, but if you are that kind of personality, it's even harder to come away from that. But it does affect on both sides because you also find the people who are, confident and boisterous in some situations even start to become a little bit more timid and shy. So I think that first misconception is one that is really important to talk about. How you are perceived, how you carry yourself. Once people start to label you, own your labels. They're not negative, they're not positive. Own your labels. Every label that you're given is an opportunity to learn and it's an opportunity to project. You choose how you project it and you choose how to balance the negative and the positive. So I think for me, that would be the top one. Secondly, we doubt ourselves. So every woman who has arisen to some sort of leadership position or at the height of their career fights and battles every day with imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
If they tell you they don't, they're not telling themselves the truth.
That's the truth.
It is, I almost want to say it's how we're hardwired. And these are things that you have to come to a realization and an acceptance that you know this. So a woman is 90% prepared. She will focus on the 10% that she doesn't
she
have.
lacks.
Yeah.
A man is 40% prepared and he's
going.
rocking up like,
He's going.
I've got this.
He's going.
He's got no doubt. So for me, that second part of it, in understanding that you're not perfect, but you've earned your seat at the table. You've earned that space you're standing in.
You deserve
is yours. You deserve to be here. You deserve to have a voice. And most importantly, you know what you're talking about. Because 9 out of 10 times when you start speaking, you watch the faces of people around you and in your head you're
Light
going, wow, wow, wow.
Why was she doubting herself?
Exactly.
Auntie Kate, I want to come to you. I mean, share your story of how you have, of how you attained leadership, how you've maintained it, and how you continue to sustain it. And what I find very interesting about your story is we know you as this award-winning actress, but now some people wake up every morning because of you.
There's a story behind that one.
Let's
Let me
hear
go
it.
back because, yes, when she said doubt, I started, let me just take the fitness aspect. I started just for fun because I'm enjoying it. So I'm like, okay, let me put this out there. Hopefully somebody else will enjoy it. And it wasn't for anything. I had nothing behind it. But then the abuses came. There were abuses. There were negative comments 60% of the time.
Really?
You have no idea. Oh my goodness.
Citizens.
Negative, you are turning to man. The nyash has gone, no breast, look at her. Then when I reveal my six-pack for the first time, you are no more acting again. It is finished. You're not a bouncer. You are a wrestler. You are this, you are that. And I kept on, but one day I cried in my room. I'm like, this is supposed to make people happy. This is, but I learned a valuable lesson. Never back down. Never give up. Because now, the fitness part of it is paying me more than film.
Look at
People
that.
paying for me to just come and stretch their body. Say their product is not healthy. And that's what I say to people. Stay on the path. If it makes you happy, you're not hurting anybody, you're not, stay. If if it's something that gives you joy, stay. So it took a while for that to happen. And then after a while, it was like, oh, wow, have you seen Kate? If you're not like Kate, I said, okay, wow. It's now a 360-degree turn. And then with the acting, it was like being inquisitive. I never studied theater arts. I'm a medical microbiologist, so I was just inquisitive, what's happening here? Yeah, audition, what's audition? Let's see what's happening. That was it. I was just inquisitive. The late JT Tom West took me to my very first audition. Oh, Lord, Road, opposite First Act. I took Okada at that time. No car, no anything, and I went, I waited for hours, saw people like RMD and Franca Brown, all the people I see on TV, like they're looking at me when I came here, I'm like, that was how I was. Oh, And then no phone, no phone that time. So they have to write you a letter, bring it to your house,
Wow.
to call you to comfort. No phone. When did we start having mobile phone?
I can't imagine.
You can't imagine. No phone. And then that was how, I just started. And I had people on set to help me. People like Sandra Chums, the late JT May, so rest in peace, Franca Brown, so many people, and then that just started the journey. Then I found out that, okay, I love this thing because I'm a TV freak. This is me on TV. I memorize all the adverts on TV.
Oh, wow.
Everything is in my head. So even now, I translate that to my script. If you give me a script, I'll get it within, okay, let's go. Yeah, let's shoot. That still helps me, the retentive memory and all that. So, and then some years ago, I realized, actually in my spirit, and I believe God spoke to me like, you see this, your fame, it's not for you. It's for you to use for other things. And that's why I decided to become someone who will always speak up when people, because I know when I speak, people are going to say, that's good, let's hear. If I was nobody, next, who is this one? But because I am who I am, they will pay attention, even if it's just for a little bit, and I'll draw them in. And hopefully, along the way, I'll contribute just my own little bit, one life at a time, to make people happy.
Amazing.
And be all they can be.
Amazing. So, Mrs. O, how can we ensure that this wisdom that is boiling up, that we get as we get older, doesn't die with us, doesn't remain with us? And I think, Auntie, you just made reference to that. But how can we be more intentional? Because we're now saying, yes, things have shifted around gender equality, but we can all acknowledge it's not shifting quick enough.
No.
So how can we start to, I don't know, do we need to codify what you have learned along the way and almost distribute it to young women, or at times shifting, or, what can we who are coming up learn so that it happens faster, it happens quicker, and it's almost democratized how to really age like fine wine, and in all ramifications?
Well, I think that first and foremost, you want to interrogate, what do you want to share? What values do you want to share? And we're a product of our environment, our upbringing, our backgrounds, our nuance, our culture, right? What is the silver bullet that runs through everything? It's respect. Just how much do you respect yourself?
Yes.
How much, what sort of value do you place on yourself? I know we're entering into the age where the prevalence is to survive right now. You find us women as mothers do not have that much time, even for what we have learned. And okay, let's start from our mothers, right? I was blessed or lucky enough to be able to have a mother who was a teacher, who would after school have time to be able to at least pass, nurture me and help me. Even then I was a very, very inquisitive child. So I dare say I don't know what would have happened if I didn't have those seeds deposited inside of me at the time when I started to test things around, But we have career women who have to balance life and work, career. And, how much time do they get? And with the proliferation of social media and, all of what it is that is the external influence, how does a child filter what is needful? Because then you have to filter it. And then you have to, so we must start to make concerted effort. And I say that with a lot of caution because it's difficult, you know, in the world or within our society. Even with the first world country, you know, it's just difficult. People, what the young ones are accessible. That's why I'm a youth advocate. I'm a social reformer because there are just a few of children who are able to retrace their steps when they go off track. You know, so first and foremost, I would say that we just need to be more prayerful. We need to be more aware that there's a spirit about these things, and it needs to be captured into essence. That's one. Two, let us start to develop the act and the skill of storytelling.
We had that before.
We had that, but I think
that.
we need to imbibe more of it. We need to share. You know, you have a platform. I see a lot of young people here. My vision is to have a whole hall of thousands of children, you know, that can come and listen and, you know, just driving through the society, mentorship programs, capacity building, character education into the schools, you know, deliberately establishing curriculums that talk about moral values, that talk about how you should hold yourself up, how you should respect yourself. The reason why some of the time we find our male counterparts just being absolute with their judgment is because there's a flip side to what they see with women. And they think that it cuts across, you know. So you have to prove yourself to say, look, I'm not one of the numbers. I'm not one of the numbers, you know. And so it's never, like they say, we will never find world peace.
No. Are
We,
we?
we keep aspiring. That is a good place for us to take a break, and we'll continue this interesting conversation when we get back. Welcome back to the conversation. We are still talking about aging like fine wine, and we have all our amazing guests in the studio with us. Uti, let's start to talk about how older women leaders can support and mentor younger women. You know, if I think about what Mrs. O was saying earlier, you know, if you even think about the population of Nigeria, we actually have more younger women. And so it's almost like, you know, they're watching, they're looking up, whether we like it or not. By default, there's so many of them looking up. And I guess the question is, what are they seeing and what can they grab and how?
I think first and foremost, in my experience, when I was much younger, in the organizations I worked in trying to build my career, I would assess the leadership and I would look at the women. And I always ask myself one question: which one of these women do you want to be? And it would amaze you that a lot of the time, I wouldn't find anybody that resonated with me. And it was because the characteristics that I was seeing wasn't anything that I wanted to emulate. It wasn't that they weren't brilliant. It wasn't that they weren't knowledgeable. They were leaders in their field, absolutely. But when you want to connect with someone who you can gain from, you can collect from, you can tap into, that's the right word, you have to see a willingness to give. And that was often missing. So there was always, oh, this woman, she's so good. But I never felt like she was open to me walking up to her and approachable. Exactly. So for me, becoming a leader, it was so important to be that person. Because when you think about how people develop, they say if you want a child to believe anything, you have to put it in them before they're 9. At 9, they start to distill. And they go through the whole teenage years, they start to assert their own identity. So you start to think, what makes young people resonate with you? Because no matter how much you have to give, if they can't connect with you, they're not going to want to learn anything from you.
That's right.
You're just going to be that person that they know, one big woman or one madam somewhere. But they don't really want to tap into what you have to. If you listen to the Sorosoke, all of those things that happened, young people didn't appear to think that there was anything that the older generation could offer. And that's why storytelling is getting lost. Because to tell a story, I must have a willing audience. So how do I make sure that as a storyteller, my audience wants to connect with me?
Right.
So in looking back, you have to understand the generations. I'm an older millennial, and we caught the bad rap. It was like millennials, millennials, millennials. Today is Gen Z, Gen Z. Like, you almost feel like, may Gen Z not happen to you. But the reality of it is, they're simply different.
Yes.
Yeah, I said it.
They think differently. They are wired differently.
Yes, absolutely.
They were born into a different world, so they see the world differently.
Yes.
Now, before you can actually give of all the things that you know that they will benefit from,
Yes.
you must see the world from their eyes. So the things that they see and the things you have seen, you are the conduit. You are the bridge that holds it together. Now, whether it means that you're going to drape that bridge in lights by being open, by being real, by being all of these things that young people value today. So first you have to understand them. How are you going to connect? What are they going to see about you that's going to make them walk up to you and say, I would like you to mentor me. I want to learn from you. That is the first hurdle to jump. Once you've done that, then what are you yourself giving back? We're all extremely busy. I mentor a whole bunch of young people, and every day somebody else is knocking at my door. Like, I want some of your time. In wanting to give back, you must dedicate yourself to it. And everybody has to make that decision that I want to leave something of myself in the world. That legacy is important. It's not by the children that you gave birth to and you raised, but every single person that passes through you. If you have been in my team, if you have anything, any kind of structure like that, I want you to look back one day and say, she deposited something in me.
Right.
I know this thing today because of her.
Right.
And that's my goal. So mentoring and mentorship, opening the door. When you mention politics is everywhere. Career-wise, office politics was a negative thing. I became a leader and then I realized it's survival and strategy. Somebody needs to teach young people that.
Yes.
So that's where I have pitched my tent to say, young people who are building careers today, how am I going to help them walk that
Understand what's coming.
trajectory
Yeah.
and, maybe not fall into as many of the hurdles and challenges that I had.
Right. Brilliant. Auntie Kate, I know that you've run for office.
Yes.
How? I mean, it'll be interesting to know what that experience was like. And
Heartbreaking.
and I guess
Harrowing.
And I guess like in a way, try to answer how we can turn aging like fine wine into an asset, into a national asset.
My political foray. Adventure. But, to be honest, there's no experience in life that is lost.
Absolutely.
You're going to use it for somewhere, somehow. It's not a coincidence when these things happen. Looking back, it's like, okay, you now have an idea how politics is for a woman in Nigeria. And dare I say that we women were satisfied with the places that they give us. To wear the wrapper and clap around the men, to be a woman leader and a youth leader and deputy. That's it. One or two that maybe shine the light and say want to be president, no woman supports them. This is me boldly saying it. But it was an eye-opener because I went home to run for office. I went back home and my people said they don't know me.
They don't know Kate Henshaw.
Yes, they don't. That's it. Who are you? I'm like, I'm one of you.
Excuse me.
Like, you are an actress. You're not one of us. So politics is you have to be on ground, grassroots. You have to be there with them. And I remember one question one of the guys asked me when I was consulted, because you have to go and talk to different leaders. These are people that this is their life, and they're like, okay, one night if we want to hang out now and drink beer, will you sit with us? In my mind, I'm like, why would I want to do that? I said, yeah, why not? I will, I'll sit with you. So they have this trick questions that they ask you. And by the way, I used all of my money Millions of it. Politics is not beans. It's not your mates in any way. Worse still in Nigeria. You have to have billions. Let me just tell you, if you want to even try, if you want to, like the people are not even ready for the change that they want. They're not. They're not. You have to spend money. You're spending money for your form. The only thing as a woman is there's one of the forms where they will say don't pay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think expression of intent. But you have to buy all the things. You have to buy drink. You have to see this person, see that person. Every day is money. Every blessed day. But I learned that it wasn't just about me wanting to give of my time because I mean I don't need their money. Yes, everybody needs money, but not that going there to steal the money. But you have to be there with the people. You have to be there with them. You have to live with them. You have to commune with them. Be in their faces. So when you do say, now I want to come and say, we know you. Okay, you have been here. We saw this. You did this for, you did that for. So it was a huge learning curve for me. I came off that train very angry, very bitter, very angry, vowed never to do anything for them back home. Like, I will show you. I'm the only person, but in hindsight,
Yes.
I learned that you don't just come upon people and say, I will do this for you. Like, who are you? How do I know if I give you this chance, you're going to still be here? Which is what they have seen with other leaders who every 4 years they come and run for office. After that, you don't see them every 4 years. But then what these people have is money. You come throw money at the people and they will take it from you.
Because they have genuine needs.
Exactly, they have needs. And the politicians know how to satisfy those needs.
Temporarily.
But women, we need to do more as to identifying the right woman, good woman. I always like to qualify things because not just, I'm a woman. No. We have seen them, what they have done with our money. But you have to be a woman of integrity, excellence, capacity, compassion. You can bring things to the table. And then the other women will support you. But I found out that women don't support women. They don't. They don't. And it's so sad. The women, definitely the population of women is more than men. When it comes to politics, we all go with the men. Even when I was doing my primaries, it was 2 women that voted for me. Out of all the hundreds of women, after they were dancing around me and everything, it was only 2. Yes, the men were even a bit more supportive. And then, of course, my governor then, his wife, Obioma Imoke, she was totally supportive. She said, please, just take it easy with Kate. Just leave her. Let her just, do this stuff. But women really, if it's politics, they don't really support.
So I think that's so interesting because what I'm hearing you say is, this is one of those things that even older women were
I don't want to mention the older woman's name.
No problem.
She showed me Pepe.
Older women have not cracked because that's what I was going.
Yeah.
It's almost like they haven't cracked it either.
Yeah.
So they don't even know how to pass it on.
Yes.
And from what you describe, if I have trauma, I'm going to pass on trauma.
Yes.
So when we say, because I want to, when I hear women don't support women, I know it's a reality and we should not be in denial of it. But I also push back on the narrative to say there are real, genuine constraints for why women don't support women. And a lot of times it's the trauma. Because when women have been through something, and I think you were trying to describe that earlier, where is that I've walked this hard road. You now want to just come like that and enter. No. You must suffer too. Do you understand? So it's a form of trauma. And I just wanted to highlight that. Mrs. O, how can we turn aging like fine wine into a national asset? Across board.
We need to start to curate a strong alliance amongst ourselves.
Yes.
We need to be deliberate about it. I do not want to trivialize that philosophy of trauma. Honestly, Bossy, I don't want to trivialize it. However, life is traumatic.
Yep.
Life
Absolutely.
in itself, right? It is love that conquers all.
That's right.
And it means that love must shine through
Brighter.
despite all.
In spite of.
In spite all.
Yep.
Do you understand? And so, if we do not, why do we think that the guys can, get into an argument and then find resolution and move on
So quickly.
so quickly?
Yeah.
Is it not traumatic? You know, if
it's
we
interest,
continue
though.
to give ourselves this provision, if we continue
Right.
to hold on to this, it's what you call it now, it will continue to be binding on us.
So it will continue to be a barrier.
It will
If we
continue
don't
to be,
push through.
yes, it's like a red herring.
Yes.
It's like a red, oh, trauma. Yes, listen, when I was a much younger person in the marketing communication industry, no, it's like the boys, they run that place like it's, like the big boys, they have affiliations and all of that. Something happened and I just spilled that. I was so upset and so, so annoyed, and I spilled out and, I expressed, I was very emotional. They're watching this on TV, they would know what happened, I was left in one corner for about a month. Yes, at work. And I didn't give me any job to do or any, but that was the turning point in my life. That was when I said, never again. You do passive aggressive with me, I will take up the double passive aggressive. And we will walk this and we will get vision. It was traumatic for me.
I hear you.
But today, I get DMs, messages in my DM about mentorship. And I have a template that I run. I send that template and I ask the question, what would you like me to help you with? What is your vision? What do you see yourself doing in the next 2 to 3 years? How do you think that I'm going to be able to help you? What do you see in me that attracts you? How do you intend for me to help you with it? If you don't map that out in your mind,
Then I can't help
I
you.
can't help you. Right? But as women, aging like fine wine, first, being proud of who we are.
Yes.
Learning that what we have gone through, like Kate has said, she went through the real rudiments of politics. If you ask her again, I'm sure at some point she'll say, let me go and try again. Because she would have gotten to understand that this is what these people expect of me.
Right.
Okay? And if we continue to think that, there's a certain place that we cannot enter
go.
into, where we cannot go, that means that we have limited ourselves.
Absolutely.
Right? So we need to deliberately begin to spread the word of aging like fine wine. We must help our young ones, our young female ones, to understand that you will go through things.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean you should change who you are.
Right.
And that doesn't mean some people are going to be blessed. They're going to learn from some other person's experiences. Some people are going to just have it easy. Some people are going to go through it by themselves. Compassion, empathy must continue to reign. Because it is what conquers all. Otherwise, we will never get there. That unity, that bond, that place where we can begin to demand is in a united voice. And if you're not, deliberately open with each other, we're always so cantankerous with ourselves as women up there. We're always so cantankerous, and it's minimizing us.
And the men use it as a weapon against us as well.
Yeah, so aging like fine wine has nothing to do with age. It's experience.
Yes.
It's your learnings.
Yes.
It's how you want to deliberately impact, and leave a legacy. Like Uti has said, just leave a legacy. We must be more purposeful.
Intentional about doing that.
I think that intentionality from the trauma perspective is it. You can choose to be a victim of the trauma. You can draw a line in the sand and say that
never again.
I'm not going to allow other person to go through what I have been through.
Absolutely. I don't want to be the kind of people and things that I've dealt with. I want to make sure that people coming after me don't experience that. And that's how we break the cycle.
Absolutely. That's how we break the cycle. I love that. So unfortunately, we're coming to our final thoughts on this. I know it has. I don't want it to end, but
I know
time does
having
fly.
fun.
Mrs. O, there is a young woman who's going to watch this, and she's saying all nice and good, and that's why I really appreciate how vulnerable you have been, sharing the failures and the difficulties, because it's the nice things are good, right? But what would you say to your younger self, for the younger woman who would watch this, or the young girl who would watch this?
Don't be too hard on yourself. You will go through what you will go through, and you will come out of it with your scar, and it would add to your beauty. Don't, overthink it. Don't overthink it. Sometimes I do, even at my age, but then I just strap my boots again and I say, come on.
Which is from experience, by the way.
Yes. So learn, be ready to learn. Open your mind up to knowledge. Filter through the things that you receive into yourself, into your spirit. If something doesn't give you peace, discard it.
Let it go.
Let it go. It's not for your good. It's not to make you, better. We're intuitive ordinarily as women. We're emotional, right? So be deliberate, be intentional about the choices that you make. Do not rate yourself second, at each point in time. Understand your worth. Respect yourself. Respect yourself and, deliberately choose the people. There's so many mentors that I had when I was much younger. They didn't know that they were my mentors.
Of course.
They were mentoring. I was being mentored from afar. By the time I stood before some of them and told them the things that I had learned about them, they were shocked. But it also, inadvertently tells me that there's some people who are watching. You must be deliberate about what you do because there are a lot of people who are also watching from afar. So the ones who are even sending me the DMs are the bold ones.
Exactly. The ones who took action.
There was a time that I had made a decision about one of my mentors and I thought, oh, she's doing so well in business. She's not particularly keen about her husband. The week after, it was as if God was just responding to that message. He said, look at you, coconut head. She started to do things about her husband and she did a session about how you must take your husband into consideration. So different strokes for different people. Do you understand? Watch, like Uti said, watch the things that endear you to somebody. How you can, because connection is emotional.
It is.
Find the ones who you connect with. And don't doubt yourself about connecting with them. Follow through, and when you feel that you've learned a lot and there's somebody else in the landscape that you want to connect to, expand that scope as well. But please do not be led just by social media. Do not be led by the things that are short-lived, that are not sustainable. Be led by what is long-term and can give you a life of legacy.
Absolutely. I think that's a word that has come up. Legacy. And I think that's what aging like fine wine helps us with. Uti, what would you say to your younger self?
Seize the day.
Seize the day.
I remember so clearly the day I had a meltdown on the road in front of a woman selling biscuits. I was about 9. I think I just turned 9. And my mother said she wasn't going to buy me biscuits. I will have my own money. I will buy biscuits. Nobody will tell me that I cannot eat biscuits.
You have your own biscuit now.
Yes, Mom, I do. But the reality of it is, between that day and today, it's so quick. You turn back,
And you're like, where have all the
and
years
somebody's
gone?
following you going, ma, ma, ma.
Yeah.
Like, huh?
Me?
Who's that? It goes really quick. It really does. It flies. Seize the moment.
Seize the moment.
The opportunities that will come, don't think about it. Jump in with both of your feet. What's the worst that will happen? You fall down.
Yes.
You'd have learned a fantastic lesson. You'd have had a great experience. You dust your shoulders off and you keep going.
Absolutely.
The worst thing is to turn back and go, oh,
I wish.
I wish I had done that. So when you do have, and truthfully, the youth can be wasted on the young when you don't seize the day, because you will turn back one day and go, those days when I could run, those days when I could jump, those days when I could just do anyhow, eat anything. You can't eat anything when you get older.
Yes. You will see it on your body.
You got to be deliberate. you never want to turn
Yes.
back and go, I wish I had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So seize the day. You can take so much more risk when you're younger. So have at it, make the mistakes. By the time you get older, your wisdom stories will be with shoulder.
Yeah. Shoulder
Did it.
pads. Shoulder
Yeah.
pads. Auntie Kate.
My own is
Don't,
plenty.
don't leave us, oh.
Ah.
Don't leave us. It's plenty.
Ah.
Give it to us.
You will not
We'll take
find
it.
everything that you like or you want in one person. Your life will be your own story for you to write. And you have to know who you are. And like she said, own it. Own it. Don't be ashamed. Don't let anybody make you feel some type of way. Because me, when I laugh, quack, 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 it's like I hear your voice. I said, yes, you're supposed to hear my voice. I'm Kate. You're not going to make me jump down on me. That's who I am. I'm boisterous. I'm loud. That's how my voice is. I'm not you. We are all individuals, even twins. They are never exactly the same. And God created each and everybody with their own specific gifts.
That's right.
So use that. Be humble. It is so important. And even though when you think you have arrived, you have not arrived anywhere because there's somebody bigger than you. And humility will open doors for you that you have no idea. Talent will only take you so far. Discipline is the key thing. I'm not even lying to you. I had something, I'm going to host a choir thing in December for some young people. And the guy reached out to me. I like to just help. If I can help, I'll help. Because I feel for them to even approach, maybe they are shaking, hey, we don't have money. So I pick and choose who I join my body with. And they did a poll and they all wanted me. I'm like, oh, wow. I said, okay, yes. He almost fainted.
Sure.
I said, yeah, I'm going to host it. I'm coming for the video. And he said, well, yes. Yes, make somebody's moment. Let them have that memory of you.
Yeah.
You are an individual. You are somebody. Don't let somebody overshadow you. And then on social media, we all see this person. You don't know what the person is doing at the back. You have to know yourself. If you don't know yourself, somebody will tell you who you are. And I want all of you here. There's one poem I always love to read. Our Deepest Fear. Marianne Williamson. Please read it. Read it, print it, put it in front of your mirror, say it every day because you're worth it.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, what an interesting and just enriching conversation that we've had today. But we're not going away yet. We're going to take a short break. And when we get back, we'll go to our gaming segment, Misrepresented. And now it's time for Misrepresented, our gaming segment. Today, we will dive into history to reminisce on historic female leaders. Our participants would give us answers to our who was questions. Representing team A and B are Eniola and Kemi. Now, if you're ready to play this game, who was the first female pilot in Nigeria? A. Chinyere Kalu, B. Chinyere Ogan, and C. Chinyere Adeumi.
The first female pilot in Nigeria is Chinyere Kalu.
And what will be your answer?
Chinyere Kalu.
All right. And the correct answer is Chinyere Kalu. Give them a round of applause. Are we ready for the second question? Who was the first female judge in Nigeria? A. Modupe Festus. B. Modupe Omo Ebo. Or C. Modupe Baderinwa.
B. Modupe Omo Ebo.
And team B?
Modupe Omo Ebo.
And the answer is Modupe Omo Ebo. Give them a round of applause. And on this note, we would like to thank our distinguished guests for joining us in the studio today. Thank you to Ms. Uti Elu, to Ms. Titi Oshodi, and to Ms. Kate Hensher. We appreciate you for being a part of today's episode. And of course, to our wonderful live audience, you have been simply amazing. To our viewers watching today's episode, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us across all social media platforms at Will and Global, like, share, and leave us a comment. Until next week, remember that women's leadership can change everything, everywhere. Bye for now.